Aliondokea Chinjagaa, kajenga nyumba, kakaa mwanangu mwanasiti mwenye vijino vya chikichi vya kujenga kuta na vilango vya kupitia. Today your host is Mugwemi Marshall and I am with
Brian King
and Sheilah.
Today is TOTO on Podcast, with kids, by kids, for kids, and everyone in general. Today our topic is going to be on choices, consequences, and everything around them. And personally, to me, choices are this what do I say? Okay, imagine this you could explain. You explain.
Can I go?
Yeah
manze, for me choices ni vitu tu tunaamua tu kufanya. That's the direct translation in Swahili, si ndio? For example, like today our host amekach to make a weird joke, umecheki. But now the thing is, of course we did choose to make that joke, but sasa you also choose how to react to bwana. I mean, you don't get mad for no reason, dude.
And you choose to read someone and know someone before you make a joke.
But sasa unajua saa zingine it happens.
Yeah, can I have Sheilah's opinion on choices?
Basically, choices and consequences intertwine each other. Like if you make a choice, you either have a positive consequences or a negative consequences, depending on what you made. So a choice is a decision or a selection of option that you decide.
What if someone doesn't believe in choices and consequences and believes in fate?
You choose fate.
You choose fate, or does it like just come?
Like you choose to believe fate.
Well,
you have to follow a path, and that decision, you've made a decision to believe a certain thing. That is a choice. So in one way or the other, if you don't believe in choice and consequences, you just have to make a choice not to believe and to believe. And at the end of the day, you might have a positive or a negative repercussion or consequences to it.
Well, true. I have a question for you guys. Do you think peer pressure all lies on choices? Or do you think that someone, I don't know, is it like natural, or is it a choice, or what? Okay, how do you take peer pressure? Let's say per se.
I go first?
Yeah, go first.
Okay, so peer pressure. First, you have to understand the choices you make and the consequences or the repercussions of it, right? So if you choose to believe peer pressure, if you want to be influenced by peer pressure, peer means almost the same rank, right? So like if I choose to do what my peers are doing, like I make a decision, you see, I make a decision to follow their path, be them. That's a choice. And the consequences will be, at the end of it, I might not fit and I'll be an outcast. So I feel like peer pressure also, sometimes it comes with a choice.
Okay. So Brian, what is your opinion on it?
On peer pressure? Yes. I think for us to actually break down choice, we have to understand the factors that influence choice. So peer influence is one of the factors that influences choice. But there are other things. I remember in our previous podcast we talked about circumstances. It's one of the factors that also again influence choice. When you're talking about choice, it varies. It varies in different ways. For there to be a choice, there has to be options, number one. And those options usually vary from 2 to, it can go up to 1 billion. So ukisema ati peer influence is also a choice, to be honest. Because as Sheilah said, you choose whether to listen or not to listen. Well, what is peer influence in the first place? Why do you make choices based on peer influence? It's either to impress, to fit in, or to gain something from that particular group. And so if you ask me, I'd say no, peer influence does not influence anything, but at the same time everything is pure influence. That's how. Because to be honest, we only do things because of certain people. We only do things for certain people, to gain something for certain people. A choice is something that's personal. And I think we try to complicate it by include vitu tu zingine mob. Ukienda like at the basic thing, like where the choices are being made, it's all about what the person is either gaining or losing. And that's it when you're talking about choice. What are you gaining or what are you losing? Those are it. That is the consequence and the advantage. What are you gaining or what are you losing?
At some point, I don't think, how do I say this? choices are always personal. It's not always personal because, of course, you can be put at a point or a circumstance is going to like ingilia everything. Where you are or whatever is happening at that specific time can influence your choice. I don't really think it's going to be personal.
Example.
Especially, okay, let's say, for example, let's use peer pressure as something like that. Okay, so if I have friends who come from, like, let's say a rich background and I'm from a humble background, and there are people who actually fund me, help me, they give me money to do everything that I do, and I am faced by a choice that naambiwa na mamangu acha kufuata hao watu ama babangu anasema siki kuona na hao watu, I just want you to stop being friends with them, and on this hand they're helping me, funding my school fees, giving me money to eat. Sometimes my parents don't even know where I'm getting money, but they're telling me to leave these friends alone. So I have to make a choice whether I'm going to stay with these friends and let them continue to help me, or I'm going to leave these friends and maybe follow something that my parents have told me. So at that point that I have been put between a rock and a hard place,
it's not much.
It is.
Unajua ile kitu fulani nanga kwa like the justice system, what is it called? Ile kitu ya kupima. What is it called? A scale.
Weighing scale.
Yeah, weighing scale. Sindio? One side inakunga like it's supposed to be equal, sindio? But usually if you add something that's heavier here, it will go. That's literally the balance of choice. That's how the same thing I said. What are you gaining? What are you losing? That is all that is going to influence your choice. It's not a rock and a hard place, to be honest. Because ukiangalia, when you look at things and you're like, hey, I'm gaining school fees here, I'm gaining friends, I'm gaining exposure, parents, I'm not gaining anything I don't already have. What are you going to go with?
Oh, okay.
It's not really a rock and a hard place. It's usually like that, manze. You'll simply, a human being, a normal human being, will simply put his or her choices on the table. What am I gaining? What am I losing? What are the pros? What are the cons? And then after that, it's not really a rock and a hard place. It's just something we put to ourselves to avoid guilt. Like, usijiona tuwe ni mtu mbaya kwa sababu unaona yenyewe wazazi wangu wamenilea. But to be honest, in your mind, in your heart, unajua, if I'm gaining more from them, how ndio nitasikiza? It is just guilt and trying to look like a good person. But truly, we know human being. It is simply a matter of gain and lose.
Well, I'd want to hear Sheilah's response to this. Do you think choice is personal, or can it be influenced by other people or other things?
Yeah, choice is personal. Mm-hmm. And it's personalized. It has belief. It has emotions and feelings. It has past experience. It has social and cultural norms. Yeah, that is what entails choice. So ina depend una make choice gani. Ka una make choice personal, venye Brian amesema, if it's personal, you know you are gaining. You are going to do that because you know what you're gaining. If it's about society and the cultural norms, you know society expects you to do this and this. So you are going to follow that path. If it is like in a deal na emotions and feelings, you know this is going to give me a peace of mind. Though it's hard, you're going to make that choice. And I think maybe the one that maybe I would like to talk about is past experience. Maybe you made a choice in the past, right? And that choice really had a negative repercussion, negative consequences. The results were negative, right? In future, when you meet the same thing, you'll make a choice that, yes, you'll have the consequences, but you won't love to have a negative consequences. You'll deviate into another direction. So choices there are a lot of factors that influence choice. Yeah, it depends uko wapi, where are you, which factor you influenced with in making the choice you're making right now. If it's personal, you're gonna make it personal. If it's social and cultural norms, you're going to follow the culture, what society expects you to do and everything. If it's emotional, then you know what choice to make. But at the end of the day, choices have consequences. They have a result in each and every choice you make. It has a result, either positive or negative.
Well, I had a question. Do you think self-esteem can actually be influenced by the choices that you make?
Yes.
In what way?
You choose, actually, your self-esteem, basically, it's all... Brian, you had something?
In school, I'll go later.
Okay. So, self-esteem, I choose to I choose on how to react. Like sometimes people can say something to lower your self-esteem down, right? But you choose to hold your head up, and like be courageous, be confident in what you are, in what you believe in, and in what you say. That's a choice. You choose. Yes, you're saying something that is hurtful, but I choose this path. Or you act a certain way. That's a choice. You see, it also influences your self-esteem. If you choose to be brought down by what people say about you, then your self-esteem is going to go down. If you choose to hold your head up high and say, you know what, this is wrong, this is right, then that's just how you're influencing your self-esteem by a choice you're making. Yeah.
So Brian, what do you think?
Mimi hata kwanza, like I want to go back to show you, because me I completely disagree with people, man. It doesn't matter the situation, whatever. Mimi I believe choices is simply a matter of gain and lose. Nakumbuka question you asked me, like us actually in a previous podcast. If your mother and I don't know someone like your wife or girlfriend was in the hospital and needed a liver, unapatia nani, unaacha nani? It is simply a matter of what are you losing? What are you gaining in this particular situation? That's how. Remember how I answered that question? I choose not to remove anything that I can't replace. It's simply a matter of gain and losing. That's how. So, like, to be honest, mimi nitasema I don't believe in external factors. So the question was, you answer before.
Self-esteem. How is it influenced by choices?
Self-esteem. I don't believe self-esteem are influenced by choices. At least not your own. They can be influenced by choices of others.
Other people.
What self-esteem is influenced by are the consequences of choices. That's how. Like for some reason, you can choose something. You can choose to be choose to question or say something funny. Tuseme tuko shule sasa kwa parade and you choose to say something that you think is funny. Umeona? Alafu you've already chosen like to say this out loud kwa parade. Watu wakose kucheka. Umeona? Utasikia vibaya. If your self-esteem is lowered in that particular situation, it is not because you chose to say the question. It is because the consequences were different or not the results you expected. So for me personally, if you ask me, esteem is influenced by consequences or results, not by choices.
Well, that's really true. I actually testify to that. But I have some really, really hard question. At some point, I've faced this situation where your parents are like, Kenye umefanya hapo hadi hujafikiria, but you had your own reasons on whatever you did because you know the choice that you're making and you know the consequence, even though they don't know the consequence. So like, let's say for example, umeko kwa situation and someone comes and approaches you, they're like, ukifanya hivi, I'm promising you, ama ukikosa kufanya hivi ndakukujia and I'll make your life in high school hard. So if you make this choice, wewe kwa kila kunajua, nikifanya hivi mimi ndauliwa kwetu. But at some point ndauliwa kwetu, yes, nikifanya hivi, but hawatakuwa na mimi high school class. My parents won't sit with me and see how hard my life is getting in class. So do you think parents can actually have the right or can be entitled to actually make a choice for you? Or do they have the right to tell you, kenye umefanya hapo Z? And I actually think you should make choices like I made. Because Brian, Sheila, I've also been where you have been.
Yeah, several.
So what do you think about parents and the choices that you make that they don't have like zero ideas about?
Okay, so Sheila, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Okay, so the thing is, acha nikwambie kitu moja. There's this saying that goes, normal people don't learn from experience. Smart people, brilliant people learn from experience, but wise people learn from other people's experiences. That's how. So it is very true. That's how. If you are brilliant, you will learn from a mistake you did and you will correct yourself. But if you're wise, you will choose not to do that mistake. Learn from someone else who did. That's how. But to be honest, sometimes there's that need, that desperation that I personally have to learn from my own mistakes, to do something, even though I know that it might not have worked out, but I'd rather try, because I know I am a different person. I have different strengths. I have different experiences. Maybe I can be able to change something. But the fact is, to be honest, mamangu aliniambia kitu juzi. I've been dealing with this myself. Aliniambia, Brayo, to be honest, chimi naona always by the way. Sasa. And it is so true. My mother has been right on so many circumstances. It's just annoying, to be honest. The fact that kila kitu aliniambia na kweli, it is freaking annoying. But you know what? I value the learning process. So something I told her back. Nilimwambia, Mom, ni sawa, you are right. But Mimi, I got to discover that you're actually right. I didn't just assume. I mean, let me create my own experiences. So that's something. It is true. Parents are right 99% of the time. That's a fact. It's something you don't want to believe, but we unajua kwa roho yako. They are right, and they will usually end up right. But also, parents learn to give us space and room to grow and have and build our own experiences.
And Sheila, what is your view on all of this?
My goodness. Brian has exhausted all the points. But
literally.
but yeah, I feel like I want to go to a path where I want to learn from other people's mistakes, not my own. Because why wait until you learn? Like, why would you learn from yourself and there are people who committed the same mistakes like you?
So today you've been with me, Mgumi Marshall, your host.
Brian King.
Sheilah Luongo.
Follow us on socials, Mtoto News. And by the way, the choices that you make, tafadhali, we are seeing you. Like, I'm looking right into your soul. So make the right choices.
Yeah. Yes. You should.
Bye.
Arrivederci.